Oh dear. Hello. Lovely to see you again, and welcome to another Tweedy Outdoors video. Did a bit of preamble back there, hopefully that came out okay. I'm down in, I may currently be in Berkshire, I'm not exactly sure, near the Hampshire border, just outside of Newbury. I just stopped off for pub lunch at the Red House in Icknield, the village next to Icknield Castle, which I thought was very good. The standard of cooking there was excellent. The beer was great, only slightly spoiled by the fact that a hornet, a massive hornet the size of a frog, somehow decided that it was going to take over my pint. But the landlady very kindly offered me a replacement, so all is good. I've been browsing the map again, and I promise I'm not taking you back to another motorway junction. There's enough of that for the time being. I've been looking at the map, and I'm really interested in this sort of confluence, if that's the right word, convergence of all the different hill ranges, the Chilterns, the South Downs, the North Downs, the Dorset Downs, the Mendits, I suppose, on the other side. They all kind of converge at Salisbury Plain, more or less, and it has been posited by people like Hilaire Belloc in his book The Old Road that that's probably one of the reasons that those Neolithic sites like Stonehenge and Avebury were located where they were, that they were a sort of natural meeting point of people using these ridges, these sort of ancient motorways, if you like. We're not going to a motorway today, don't worry. People using those ridges as a thoroughfare, the only real reasonable way you could travel long distances across the country back in Neolithic times. And I previously walked the South Downs Way, and the South Downs is generally, or at least the South Downs Way is generally considered to finish at Winchester. But of course Winchester isn't exactly Salisbury Plain, and there's this extra little adjunct that I found quite interesting on the map. A line of hills called the Hampshire Downs, and the particular stretch that I'm looking to walk along today goes from I don't know, somewhere south of Newbury, which is where I am now, to I'm going to walk to roughly Bedwin, I think. And as is often the way, there's a little bit of Neolithic interest along the way, so I think there's a good case for the tops of the Hampshire Downs, so including hills like Inkpen Hill, which I think is the highest point in southeast England. Hills like Inkpen Hill probably form part of a route that extended from the South Downs to take travellers all the way to Salisbury Plain. Well, I'm no mushroom expert, but if I had to guess, I would say that's Fly agaricus, the sort of classic toadstool, and some other specimen not in quite as great shape. More mushroom interest here. Whatever it is, there are a few of them in this spot. See those guys there? Again, I'm no expert, but I think these specimens might be sulphur tuft, but they're very distinctive, kind of almost bright orange colour at the centre, and they fade to slightly paler yellow around the rims of the caps, and they appear in these kind of clusters like this. It's past its best, but I think that is some kind of bolete. Another one there which is pretty mouldy. I know there's a scarlet bolete which presumably has a sort of reddish stem. Is that one over there? Pretty much all the bolete family I think are edible, but I'm not sure they're in great condition, and I'm not entirely sure they are, so obviously I'm going to leave them where they are. But that's exciting. I've only been in this wood for 5 minutes, and wow, one absolute treasure trove. Footpath sign here is adorned with hops. They look like hops to me. I don't know if that's been planted especially. There's a pheasant over there. but it will fly off. Oh wow, and a hare. Is that, no, a muntjac. Let's see if I can zoom in later on that. Wow, they don't seem to have noticed me quite yet. This section of the walk that I'm currently on, the path is named the Brenda Parker Way. I think Brenda Parker was a notable member of the local Ramblers Association, who helped to presumably lay out some routes in the area, and this path was named as a memorial to her, which I think is really nice. It's been lovely so far. It's a very nice stretch of the woods, going through a field here now. A bit later on, this will connect me to the, what is it called now? The Wayfarer's Walk, and that will go across the ridge of the Hampshire Downs, and then that in turn then connects to the Mid Wilts Way. This has the feeling of quite an old track. It's a nice gap in the hedge on this track here for the first proper glimpse of the Hampshire Downs. Love this sort of path. It's the sort of path where were Gandalf to come walking the other way, you wouldn't be surprised. It's the first sign I've seen for the Brenda Parker Way. I think I keep saying I will be leaving that soon. And somewhere up here joining the Wayfarer's Way. Wayfarer's Walk? Whatever it's called. Going to say goodbye to the Brenda Parker Way now, and cut off a corner to head up the hill through this nice bit of beach copse. Nice country lane there. Climbing up Pilot Hill now. I don't think it's that far to the top, probably that line of trees there. That's where I'll meet the Wayfarer's Walk. It's a pretty nice view, but I expect it comes out a bit grey and subdued on screen. The weather is doing exactly what the weather forecast said it would. There was a bit of intermittent sunshine this morning, but it's turned grey now for the afternoon, and I think it's basically going to be like this the rest of the day. Tiny bit of blue up there. Maybe it will improve on and off, but you know, that aside, I think that's already, I'm not even quite at the top, and that's quite a spectacular view there. Shall I do one of those walking past the camera shots I can never bother to do? Got loads of time today. There I am walking past the camera, trying to look natural, you know, as I'm just walking past the camera. Ridiculous. There we go, Wayfarer's Walk. Goodbye again, Brenda Parker. Definitely lost sign there. This is confusing. I'm going to take this back to where I think it's meant to be, which is over here. Be a good thumbnail, I don't know. Should I point it at me? Oh, I can't get that around. There we go, Wayfarer's Walk. It's probably quite an old bit of signage there on that tree. So I've returned the Wayfarer's Walk marker to the base of that tree. I assume it was from somewhere around here. Emerging from that bit of woodland. I was surprised by that. I didn't think at this this height we're, you know, getting on for 300 meters, which is pretty high for southern England. 290-ish here. I didn't think there'd be such a mature wood on top. I thought it would just be scraggly trees here and there, but I guess it's hardly the wind-swept slopes of Dartmoor. Do you want to hear a joke? Did you hear about the car that was made entirely out of pate? It was an all-terrain vehicle. Tough crowd. Nailing these things to a post seems like a good idea. The Wayfarer's Walk follows a road for a bit now. I'm coming up to getting on for almost 5 miles, I think I've walked so far, from Highclere, and I haven't seen a single person yet since I left Highclere, which is pretty nice. There are again I'm saying we, I am entering the outer embankment now of Walbury Camp, which is the Iron Age hill fort that sits atop Walbury Hill. Walbury Hill is the highest point in southeast England. Hopefully we can get to the trig point. It looks like on the OS map that the sort of plateau, the top of Walbury Camp, isn't actually open access land, despite there being lots of that surrounding it. Well, not really sure what that sign said, but oh well, maybe the very mean owner of what used to be Walbury Camp doesn't want us to go to the trig point then. But you could just about see it over there. We've seen trig points before, haven't we? You can probably live without it, and I think the height is essentially the same, perhaps a metre or two on top of where we are. But I think for all intents and purposes I am currently the highest person in southeast England actually standing on the ground, I think. The car park the other side of Walbury Camp now, I think, are the outer embankments around there, or perhaps we've already gone past them. Marked on the OS map as a scenic viewpoint. Perhaps I need to stand up to appreciate that, and obviously it would look nicer without the road in the way. I think there's the view without the road in the way. Oh, it's nice. There's a nice big sign for the Wayfarers Walk. So beyond Walbury Camp now, it was a bit underwhelming, to be honest. Walbury Camp, it had a car park at either side, just so that you could walk across a fenced track running through the middle. Seemed a bit mean, but anyway, perhaps the other car park that I've just walked past there, where the scenic viewpoint was, perhaps that also serves Coombe Gibbet, which is coming up here. It's the entrance to the either the Coombe Gibbet or Inkpen Hill Long Barrow. I think the gibbet part refers to the standing, I don't know what you call it, standing trunk thing there, which was used to hang two murderers in the 1600s. Quite why it still needs to be there today, not really sure. It seems a bit gruesome, but anyway, it is atop the Long Barrow here, which is presumably much older than that. I couldn't find much information about it on the web. I think the consensus is it's probably Neolithic. Yeah, feels to me a bit inappropriate driving that big bit of wood into an ancient monument like that, but there you go. Yeah, not really sure what else to say about the Inkpen Hill / Coombe Gibbet Long Barrow, but it is interesting that it is right next to what is, I suppose, another Ridgeway. Effectively, seems very likely this stretch of the Hampshire Downs would have been an ancient track, would have provided relatively easy walking route to people as far back as the Neolithic, 6,000, possibly 5,000, 6,000 years ago. I'm having a bit of a sit down by still by Coombe Gibbet, whatever it's called, Long Barrow. Wonder if sitting down was a mistake, because I've suddenly become overcome with lethargy. I've been sitting here for probably 20 minutes. Well, I got back on the track and started walking again, still sort of heading east along the Hampshire Downs. I have to admit my enthusiasm seems to have tailed off a bit. I don't know if it's because it's started to turn a little bit chilly. It's sort of doggedly, persistently grey, and the Long Barrow and Walbury Camp were perhaps a bit underwhelming. But there you go, you know, you have these ebbs and flows on a walk. It's all part and parcel of it, I suppose. according to the OS map, I'm right on the border here between Berkshire that way and Wiltshire over that way. It's more or less the line of that fence there, so you know, 1 foot in each county more or less.